Hello friends, this is Jiftesh from Encode Digital. This is our last part of our series, Value Investing Analysis in Python. In our previous tutorials, you have loaded the data and we got the data from the financial modeling prep. Now I just want to highlight because there had been a gap in from my previous videos to this one. So now I have refreshed the data. So all this data is based on our latest, which is 8th of February today. So it's all the latest data. Now another thing I want to highlight you, I think you will love it, is if you now, as I mentioned earlier in my last video, that the financial modeling prep has now made the APIs paid, but they do have the free plan where you can have the 250 requests per day. Now what here they mentioned is about in the free version they give only last 5 years of data, and in the paid version they give the 30 years of the historical data. Now what I have found is that actually in their latest one they have changed their URL slightly. So if I show you, so this is based on their latest URL, and if I collapse all, you will see the data is of last 5 years. So this one is from 2021, this one is of 2020, and like that one. So this is 5 years data. So this is the balance sheet for Apple. Now if you are following my series, so you would have used the URLs which we used earlier. If you use that one, so let's say go to the balance sheet one, you can still get the data for last 36 years in this case of Apple. So basically in the older version of the financial modeling preps API, they haven't restricted even for the free version, but if you use their new version, then they have restricted for free. I don't know for how long it will stay like that. Maybe they will take it out after listening to this video soon, but I just want to mention you guys. So I will show you the difference as well. So for example, this is the old URL. It's not much difference. So for example, it's the same domain name and then API version 3. They do have the version 3. What they have done is they took the word financials out. So they have version, I'll show you. So they did the API version 3, then directly the balance sheet statement. But in the old version, there was dash financials balance sheet statement. And that's why you guys can see the difference. You will get in the new version, you will get only 5 years. In the old version you will get all the historical data. The other difference is and I will be making this tutorial, and my data is based on the old version, so that you can continue from what we have done from last series. One of the difference is that in the new version you see they have now used the camel case for their the keys, key and value pair, they all. But in the older version, so if I go to the older version, you will see it was not camel case. There were spaces and all those sort of things. Just I want to highlight because I will be using the older version because this is the continuation of our series. But in case you are using the new version, just make sure that you change it to the key values, the name of this one. Okay, so now let's start. So we have all the data like I mentioned. Now we're going to do the analysis based on the criteria mentioned in the Intelligent Investor, and the things we're going to check is these 6 things. So we're going to find out the stocks which has market value of greater than 2 billion, current ratio greater than 2. So current ratio is how much the current asset and divided by the liability, current liability. So that is should be greater than 2. And then the PB ratio, which is the price to book ratio, then the price earning ratio, multiplication of that one less than 23. Now these are the criteria based on the Intelligent Investor. Okay, so this might not be the case for lots of technology firms. So you would see that lots of technology firms will fill this criteria. But what I want to show you is that we will go through these all the criteria mentioned in Intelligent Investor, and I will show you the way how we can screen. But then in the end you have all the data. You can do whatever combination you want to do, this is totally means up to you. I just want to show you the way how you can do it, and then you can use any of the keywords, that means, or whatever the criteria you want to add, change, and all those sort of things you can do on your own. But I will go with these ones, the one mentioned in the intelligent investor. And the next one is the total debt. So that should be less than 2.1 times of the net current asset. Then we're going to look into the EPS, that the company is always basically earning the money from last 10 years. It should be greater than 0. And then also that we want to see that the growth is happening. So that's the reason you see the criteria is the latest one should be greater than the average of the last 3 years. Now in average last 3 years, I'm going to skip the 2020 because of the COVID reasons. Again, you can change these criterias as you feel. And also this is just a screening. This is value investing. You're not going to invest into the stock just by the output of this one. You need to do further analysis on your end. You need to look into the company growth statements, how they're going to perform, all those sort of things. I will leave that one with you because I'm not any investor to I can guide you. So this is not the guide. This is purely from the programming point of view. Okay, so let's start. So I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to go analysis.py. Okay, very first thing, we will import the required packages. Then we will try to enter into the main function. We create the main. So let's create the main function. Okay. Now the very first thing we're going to do is that we're going to create a connection to our PostgreSQL database. Okay, now we will get all the data from our financials database. Okay, now we have got all the data in our rows. So all these rows of financials database are now in the rows, and we're going to iterate over the other one. So for row in rows, and before I do that, I'm going to create a try catch. And if there is any exception, which will be in case the data is missing or the last 10 years data is not there, depends upon stock to stock. We don't want our program to fail. We want it to continue. So I'm going to do that one. And another thing we're going to do is that if so we're going to get all our the stocks which pass our criteria. So I want to capture those ones in the result array. So I'm going to create an empty one first, and then as we keep on checking the criteria, then we will add results over there. So now in our that one, so very first thing we going to check is the market value. So this is where we're going to check if it is above 2 billion. So we can do that one. And for that one, let's get the stock first. What is the name of the ticker, so that we can get from row. So this row, which is the each row, and the column is 1. So in our database, so because we are doing select star, so it's going to get all the columns. So column starts from 0, 0, 1. So stock is the 1, and that's go on. So we got the stock name, and then we're going to get the market value for that one. Now within the row, so we will get the market value from enterprise value. Let me show you from the API. So this is our enterprise. So you can see the market capitalization is there. So our enterprise value is column number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's why we're going to do row 5, and then we're going to within that one. So once we are within the API, so if I collapse all, then this is the very first. So I'm going to get the enterprise value. Let me get in the, so if I do the enterprise value, then within enterprise value we want to take the latest one, current year, the latest year. So that will be 0. which is the first object, because as you can see it is 0 1 2 like that one, and within that one we want the market capitalization. So this will give us the market value. Now this one is in a text format right now. We have to convert into a float, so I'm going to typecast it, so float and then this. So now we have a market value. Now what we're going to check is if market value is less than 2 billion. So okay, let's type zeros and with 9 zeros. Yeah, if it is less than 2 billion, then I'm going to state the criteria false. Actually, let me create here for each of them. I'm going to say check criterias, and I'm going to say it initially as is true. So I will only make it false if it is false, because if one of them fails, then we don't want to screen. So the way it is that we do initially true, but let it keep it go, and if it is anywhere false, then we turn as false, and then it will not come in our screening. So that's we have done for our first one. Next we're going to check is the current ratio greater than 2. So let me write check current ratio. So then the next ratio is in our metrics. So let's see. So if I go to our, so this is the enterprise values one, so this is the key metrics. So in this one you can see the current ratio here, so we're going to get that one. So in our same way, so let's say current ratio, and I'm going to say again row. So our column number for metrics is 6, so this was 5, and then key metrics is 6, so let's go 6, and then within that one we're going to get, so let's see what is the structure. So our structure is, if I collapse all, so within that one the very first thing is metrics, and within metrics then 0, and then to get the latest one, and then within that one is current ratio. So it will be metrics, and then we're going to get the 0, and then within that one we have a current ratio. Let me actually copy it from there so that I don't do any mistake. So it is the current ratio. Okay, so now we got the current ratio, and then again same thing, we have to convert into float. It is in text right now, so I convert that one. Now let's quickly check if current ratio is less than 2. If it is less than 2, then our criteria doesn't pass, so I'm going to say the criteria is false. Let's say if the company is greater than, it passed through this one, it's still true, but if it doesn't pass this one, then it will be turned as a false. So that checks our second one. Now we're going to do the third test, which is PB ratio and the PE ratios multiplication. So for that one, let's take first of all PB ratio, and PB ratio is in let's say I think it's in metrics. Let's quickly check. Yeah, so it is, yeah, PB ratio is here, and then there would be PE ratio as well. Yeah, it is over here. So both things again, let me actually copy this one because it is in the metrics, so I don't need to type, and all I need to change is in this one it is PB ratio, and the other one is PE ratio. Okay, so then I can copy this one and make it PE ratio, and then same, all I need to change is PE ratio. So I got PB ratio and PE ratio. So what I can do is, now we want this one to less than 23. So if PB ratio times PE ratio is greater than 23. If it is greater than that, then I'm going to say that check criteria is false. Okay, so that covers our that one. Now let's move on. The next we have done first three. Now fourth one is total debt should be less than 2.1. So for that one we need two things. We need the total debt and net current assets. So let me quickly write here actually. So let's grab this one and I will do, so let's say total debt is equal to, and then we need to see where is the total debt. So within the balance sheet and this one, then our total debt is here, and let's quickly see, it is the financials, and within the financials it is, we're going to take the first one and then the total debt. So let me convert into raw data, and then we can do is total debt. Actually, let me copy this, format itself, and then our column is balance sheet, so 0 1 2 3, and then within that one we're going to take the financials, and again 0 first object of that one, and then within that one we're going to take the total debt. So once we have done, so we got the total debt, and then we need, I'm going to copy this one, and then we need net current assets. So in the net current assets, again it is in the, so we can copy this one, and then all I need to do is change this one to total current assets. Okay, now we got both of them, and now let's quickly check. Now if the, so our criteria is that this should be less than, okay, so let's make it opposite. If total debt is greater than 2.1 times our net current assets, then our check criteria would be false. Okay, so if it passes all previous three but it fails here, then it fails. It's just like that one. So once that one is done, so that covers our 4. Now the next one is for us to check the EPS is all been 0 from last 10 years. So let's say EPS is greater than 0, so let's check that one. And in order to do that, we first of all need to get the EPS for all the years, last 10 years. Now because our data is for all the historical years, so it's going to get it for, in this case for Apple, it's going to go for last 36 years. We want to check only last 10 years. So what we need to do is we will go through each of those years only up to 10 years, and the way we can do is that for loop. So we're going to do the for, I'm just going to make for E in row, and this one is because we're going to get the EPS, and EPS is in metrics. So let me go to not enterprise value, in the metrics, and it is within these ones is net income per share. So let me actually search net income. Yeah, this is the one. So net income per share. So let's get that one. And so for E in row, so for our metrics it was 6, and then within that one metrics, so we're going to go through all the objects within metrics. If I go back, so within, let me see, JSON, so within metrics we're going to go through all of them. Of course we will stop at 10, but we'll go through one by one, and within that one then we will take the EPS. So now we will check if, so now we're going to first of all going to do all of them. So if, and we check E, which is the first object within that one, and we know that we're going to check the net income. So if I go here again, go back to the raw data, and I'm going to get the net income per share, and I need to convert this one into float. So if the float of this one is less than 0, so if it is less than 0, then we know that our criteria has failed. So I'm going to do the check criteria is equal to false. Now because it, like I mentioned, the data is more than 10 years or could be more than 10 years, so we have to stop that one. So I'm going to do here counter is equal to 1, and I'm just going to check here. I'm going to do counter is equal to counter plus 1 if counter is equal to 10. As soon as it is 10, then I'm going to break the for loop, so that we have only for last 10 years. So if it is any time within last 10 years is less than 0, our check criteria will be false. Okay, so that covers that one. Now the last one is our we're going to get the check the EPS growth, so that the company is growing. So for that one, I'm going to do is that we need to get the first of all current, then we need to take the average of, so we need to take those 3 years, and then the last 3 years, so we need to take average of that one. So let's get the current one first. So current EPS is, again we know that the EPS is here, so I'm just going to say float, and then we know that it will be in the matrix, and within that one, for the first one, for the current one, it is a 0 because that's the first one, and then the net income per share. So that gives us the first one. Now for the average, so now average, I would say last 3 years. So for this one, we will take a mean, and that's the reason we imported the mean from statistics. So for the mean, we would say mean, and now we're going to give the we create an array so that it can take a mean. So I'm going to create an array, and let me open this one up, and then within that one, let me collapse also. I'm going to skip 1, so then I need the from 2, 3 and 4. So again I will copy this one completely, so this one, and then I'm going to change it to 2. Let me copy first 3 of them, and then 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we got for 3 years, so that is the mean for those 3 years. And then the same thing I'm going to do for 7, 8, 9, means last 3 years of the last 10 years. So in this one, I'm going to change average of years 7 to 9. Okay, so now for this one, it will be 6, 7, 8. So basically you can do as you want, but the way we are checking is that the company has grown. So last part of the year, whatever the EPS was, it has increased in the middle part, and now the latest one is more. So basically company is growing. So that's what we are trying to do over here. And then if this doesn't pass, then we're going to say that our check criteria is false. Okay, so now once so these are basically all our criterias. Actually we can so we can multiply this one with 1.5. Let's do this way first, that as long as it is greater than that, but we can add any parameters to make sure the company is growing healthy and all those sort of things. So I will leave it as it is. So let me actually take this one away for now, we'll see. Okay, and then so once so this done all the tests, now we want to display these ones, whatever has been screened. So for those ones, let's get the current price so that we can see what is the current price as well. It's just for displaying. So I'm going to do the cursor dot execute, and then I can see current price is equal to then cursor dot fetch 1, and then the very first record of that one, and then I can close this one actually, and then I can make it into the float like we did previously. So that gets the current price. Let's display the book value as well. I just to see what is the book value, so that when we see a current price, how far it is from the book value. So book value is within the metrics. So again we go back to the metrics, and then the book value per share is over here. So let's do again. So let me get the metrics one. So it is this one, and then within this I'm going to get the this one. Okay, now we got all things. Now let's display it. Now very first thing we need to check is does all the criteria is passed. So if check criteria, so if it is true, it stayed true because we gave, then we're going to, in our array which we created empty array earlier, so we're going to append, and in that one we're going to append, let's create an array stock, then we're going to current price, so that we can see side by side, and then we can have market value which we created, then the current ratio, then we can see book value, then we can see current EPS as well, and PB ratio we calculated earlier, and PE ratio as well. So let's append these things, and they should keep on appending. So once that is done, so once we are out of for loop, which is here, and once we are out of for loop here, and then we can print it. So let's print. So I want to print in this our array result in more readable way. So that is the reason we installed Tabulate, the package. So let's use that one. So Tabulate, and then within Tabulate we're going to display the result, which is the array array of an array, and then we're going to give the headers. So yeah, I think that's all done. Let's try to run and see if we can see the results. So we are in value investing, so Python analysis.py. Wow, okay, so it has identified these stocks as part of our screening, and let's have a look. I can see the TSM is there. Okay, so that's nice. So the current price is 121. Ratio is good. Book value is 27. EPS is quite good, 14. Okay, and then the price to book ratio is less than 1, which is good, and then PE ratio is quite low. So yeah, of course this data is based on the last their statement which they did, but the current price is the latest one. I think I grabbed this one yesterday, so 7th of February one. No, yeah, that's good. So yeah, so this gives us the, like I mentioned, the results. As you can see, means I will cross check these ones in a 1 year time where we are with the price of these ones, but in order to, so this is just the screening. In order for the value investing, you have to do a lot of other analysis on this one. This is just a few criterias, but then you need to see why their PE ratio is low means, is there any fundamental flaw, or is just a temporary? I think TSM maybe because of semiconductor shortages right now. And then the other thing is, for these ones, okay, what is their potentially growth from the from these company point of view? Are they going to do something good next year or in following years, which means the company will grow? Or do you think their product will shrink? Like, for example, we seen some of the companies grow massively during the COVID, like Peloton and all those sort of things, but they are now 80% down. So those sort of things, what product they're doing, are they products going to be for long term, and all those sort of things. So a lot of further analysis need to be done. But I just want you to point you guys in the direction so that you can see that there are lots of information. As you can see from the company metrics point of view, we haven't used at all most of them. We just use 6 criterias. You can build in this way how you want. You can put a lot of other things. You can put a lot of the balance sheet stuff, income statement we haven't touched, the cash flow we haven't touched, although income statement we touched via the EPS. But there is all more things you can add. But I just want you to go through this one, and this is our final result. Like I mentioned there, I can't see much technology ones because we did the PB ratio into the PE ratio. You can change that criteria. Maybe you can go only with the PE ratio, because PB ratio is because these IT companies or internet companies, they don't have the physical assets, so it's difficult for them to, they're not going to pass this test. So based on each and every sector, and then there is the other thing, you need to see how that company is performing in their sector. So you might need to do the similar analysis on the small set of the companies in that sector and see how they are doing, to work it out whether it is undervalued, whether it is overvalued, and all those sort of things. So I will do more sessions on these ones because I myself do value investing. But again, I am not any guide, I would say. I'm not officially to direct you to. I'm not going to say you buy this stock or anything like that. This is just what data tells us, and there is a lot of other things you need to do. This is value investing, it's not a trading, so you can do a lot of other things. But I will bring some trading sessions as well, in a sense, like from the technical indicators and all those sort of things, how you can find right entry and all those sort of things, even when you're doing value investing. So combining the financials, fundamentals, along with the technical analysis. So I will bring that one as well in my future videos. So if you like this, guys, so yeah, subscribe, and you will see further. Do give me comments if you want me to do any particular thing, you want me to do any particular analysis on all those sort of things. I would love to. So yeah, leave a comment. So that's it all for guys for this series. Thanks for your time. Cheers. Bye.